When you're looking at a 5-wheel hitch, the first thing that pops into most people's heads isn't how much horsepower do I have, but will this actually make my RV trips smoother, quieter, and safer, or am I just tossing another expensive metal box onto my truck? That hesitation makes a lot of sense. You're probably weighing the cost against the risk of buying something that doesn't line up with your trailer's weight, that squeaks on the highway, or that becomes a headache every time you have to couple and uncouple. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon, and in the next few minutes I'm going to walk through the real-world factors that matter most so you can decide whether this CURT 16180 A25 is the right fit for your setup. First, let's talk about the kind of towing you're doing. A 25,000-pound rating puts this hitch squarely in the heavy-duty camp. If you're pulling a Class A motorhome or a large fifth-wheel travel trailer that regularly tops 20,000 pounds, you need more than a simple steel plate. You need a coupling that can absorb the inevitable shock loads you get when you hit a pothole or a sudden grade change. That's where the cast yoke with poly-torsion inserts comes into play. In everyday terms, those inserts act like a built-in suspension system. When you pull into a rough campground entrance, the yoke flexes just enough to keep the trailer from slamming against the hitch, which not only feels smoother for you and your passengers but also reduces wear on the kingpin and the trailer's frame over time. One of the complaints you'll hear from anyone who's spent a lot of time on the road is the dreaded squeal that starts the moment you lock up. CURT tried to solve that by using high-strength, interlocking cast jaws that fully wrap around the kingpin. In practical use, those jaws create a tighter seal and distribute pressure more evenly, which translates to a noticeable drop in noise on the highway. I've driven a similar setup on a 2-hour stretch of interstate and the difference was obvious. The trailer's vibration was muted, and the interior of the truck stayed quieter, which makes long drives less tiring. Coupling a fifth wheel isn't exactly a ballet, but it can feel close if the hitch moves with you. The fully articulating torsion head on this model provides a controlled range of motion that tracks the truck's angle as you maneuver in tight spots. Imagine pulling into a crowded RV park where the parking pads aren't perfectly level. The articulating head lets the trailer pivot just enough to align without you having to back up and readjust repeatedly. That kind of flexibility saves minutes, sometimes hours over a weekend trip, and it's a feature that many budget-oriented hitches simply don't have. Another convenience factor is the lockable handle that self-resets to the re-dido couple position after you uncouple. In a typical setup, after you've finished a vacation you have to manually pull the handle back, which can be awkward if you're already juggling luggage and kids. CURT's design lets the handle spring back on its own, so the next time you hit the road you're already in a go position. It sounds like a small thing, but for anyone who does multiple trips a year, that little time saver adds up. Now, who should really consider this hitch? The sweet spot is anyone who owns a heavy fifth-wheel trailer, 20,000-25,000 lb range, and tows regularly, especially on varied terrain. Values a quieter ride and wants to protect both the truck and trailer from shock-induced wear. Doesn't mind a modestly higher upfront cost in exchange for durability and ease of use. Has a truck with a compatible receiver that can handle the additional weight of a cast steel body. If you fit those criteria, the CURT 16180 A25 gives you a lot of the premium grade benefits without jumping into the ultra-high-end price tier. The cast steel main body provides a precise build that holds its shape after years of use, meaning you're less likely to need a replacement or major adjustment down the line. On the flip side, there are a few practical trade-offs to keep in mind. The cast steel construction, while sturdy, adds several pounds to your truck's payload. If you're already pushing the limits of your vehicle's gross vehicle weight rating, you'll need to account for that extra mass. Installation isn't a weekend DIY for most people. The hitch sits deep in the frame and aligning the lock plate often requires a professional mechanic or at least a set of specialized tools. That extra labor cost can bump the total price higher than the sticker suggests. Finally, while the articulating head offers a good range of motion, it isn't the most extreme on the market. For folks who do a lot of off-road camping where the trailer needs to pivot sharply on steep, uneven ground, a hitch with a larger articulation angle might feel more comfortable. The rating on Amazon, 4.4 out of 5 stars from 19 reviewers, tells us the majority of owners are satisfied, but the sample